Good afternoon and welcome to our How to Be a Recording Rockstar presentation. My name is Grace Carrick, and for those of you who do not know me, I work in the race office and am often the one scoring and communicate directly with recorders during a regatta. So skilled recorders are near and dear to my heart, not only because they make my life easier, but they also enhance the overall quality of a regatta. So a quick overview, we're going to go over what skills make a great recorder, take a look at the recording sheets that we use here at St. Francis, talk about the responsibilities of a recorder on a signal boat, marks at boat, as well as the finished boat, and then we're going to wrap up with a demo of what it is like to be a recorder, so be sure you have a pen and paper nearby. So first I want to talk about why this role is invaluable. We really cannot overemphasize the importance of skilled recorders. A bad recorder means that we don't get posted scores for a long time and the quality of the event goes down quickly and significantly. So it's really important that we have skilled and well-prepared recorders on the water. So some skills that we want in our recorders. Firstly, they need to be highly focused. Your head's down, furiously writing, and you're not distracted by all the commotion that's inevitably going on around you. Of course, always be aware of your surroundings, but remember your job and make sure it is getting done properly at all times. You'd be surprised by how easy it is to miss something that the PRO says, but good recorders hardly ever let this happen. Secondly, we want you to be level-headed. As any race committee veteran can tell you, things can get really hectic. You must remain not only composed, but focused when things get chaotic. And if you cannot stay on task through those times, then it's going to be very hard to get accurate information to the scorer. Thirdly, legible. You don't need to have perfect handwriting, but please make sure you are writing legibly, especially make sure that your numbers are all clearly spelled out. Often 9s can look like 4s, 6s like 6, 8s, 7s like 1s, etc. So just be sure that even someone who's never seen your handwriting knows what you have written. Okay, so here is our starting sheet. For seasoned St. Francis recorders, you're going to notice that these sheets are different from our old ones. We redid them in the beginning of 2020, but unfortunately didn't get to use them last season. I redid them because the old ones didn't utilize the whole page. As you'll see in a few slides, they force the recorder to cram all the information in the upper third of the sheet. And these contain all of the same essentials as the old ones, but are more efficient use of space. So hopefully you'll get acquainted with these new start sheets soon and you can give me feedback. So this is just a zoomed in portion of the start sheet so that way you can see what each box entails. Of course, remember to put the event name, your name, the date, day of regatta. So for instance, if it's a 2-day event on a Saturday, Sunday, then on Sunday you say day 2. I want to know your name so that if I need to track you down and ask you a question, I can, should there be any confusion. And then of course we have the fleet, so that's where you would write J70, J105, etc. What course the PRO is sending the fleet on, what time their start is, that's their start time at go, and any other pertinent notes such as, U flag or black flag is displayed. Then we have a section for over earlies. Please make sure to mark down who cleared themselves, and it would also be helpful to write down who did not start. You can figure that out by looking at our check-in sheet. Also, the section for DNFs. One note on that, if a boat radios in that they are retiring from a race or a coach or marks at boat radios it in, please put them in the DNF box so that they are scored properly. That covers all of the different portions of our start sheets. We'll go through some examples later on. But now on to finish sheets. So here is an example of our finish sheets. Again, event name, date, class, day of regatta, race number. So one note on that, if we had 3 races on day 1, and it's now day 2 of the regatta, please write race 4, not race 1. This is something that I've seen a lot and it can cause confusion when scoring. So be sure to mark the races that way. Then your name and phone number again, so I can track you down if needed. And then you'll notice that there is an email and mobile number on the top left-hand corner. This is my information, and the quicker you can send me the results, the better. I personally prefer the text over email, but either works. And from here, the finished sheets are quite straightforward. You have sale number and time, and we'll go through some examples a little later in the presentation that demonstrate how we can use the sheets for different types of racing. Okay, so signal boat preparation. Make sure that you have an entry list or check-in list. That's something that you will get at the race office in the morning of. Make sure you have plenty of start forms or lined paper, and then pens. We really prefer pens over pencils. That way, you know, pencils can fade, pens are just easier to read. And your purpose on the signal boat. Timing, make sure you're writing down the time of each start. Starting infractions, you're furiously writing as the PRO is calling over earlies and calling out who has cleared themselves. And then safety, making sure boats are accounted for by referring back to the check-in list. Okay, here is an example from the signal boat. You can use regular lined paper, just make sure that all the information is there. For example, you know, fleet, start time, day, race number. So we know that this is from the Alcatraz course, which probably means it's from a big boat series, race 1, and the date. And then we have all the different classes, different start times. They list that black flag was displayed. First one was a general recall, really great information to have. And then this recorder even put down where the windward mark was, which is just kind of a cool thing to note. Okay, here is another start boat example. This is from the old sheet, so you can see all the information, like I mentioned earlier, is forced into the top third of the form, which isn't ideal. But this person, we white out all the names, so they did put their name on there. We just decided to white them out. So we have the event name, the date, day, and race number. All of that is there. And then we have, of course, all the fleets, what course they're being sent on, and how many boats started for each fleet, as well as the time that they started. And then we have other information. If you look at the J120 fleet, we have 153 was OCS, but it's really clear that they cleared themselves. The recorder made that very apparent. So good job. All right, mark set boats, preparation. Make sure that you have finished sheets or lined paper, an entry list, pens, and purpose of scoring on mark set boat or recording on a mark set boat is for a scoring backup. There are cases when the finished boat loses scores and the mark set boat's copy of roundings is really helpful in figuring out who finished in what place. And then we also like to have this information for redress hearings and protests. So writing down anything of significance at a windward or leeward mark can help a jury sort out any redress hearings or protests. Okay, here is an example of a mark set recording at a gate. This recorder really went above and beyond and actually wrote who went to which gate, as well as the time of the first to round the gate and the last to round. So this is really helpful information if we needed a backup for scoring. You'll notice they missed some sale numbers, no big deal. They just wrote a little circle so we know somebody was there, even if they didn't get their cell number down. Okay, finish line. So preparation, please make sure you have an entry list and check-in sheet, some finish sheets, pens rather than pencils again, and then having a phone with a lot of battery is important because I like to get scores posted as quickly as possible, and the easiest way to do that is to send photos with your phone. Purpose is, of course, scoring the event, and you have to be really fast and accurate, as you'll see in our demo in a little bit. Okay, once again, we have the information up top. This is an example of consolidating paper by putting multiple classes on one sheet. You may do this as long as it is still clear which class is which and the finish order. You'll notice that dinghy sailing doesn't need every individual's finish time, but be sure to mark down the first boat's time because there's usually a time limit and those who finish after the time would need to be scored accordingly. If you're recording on the finished boat and you accidentally swap two boats, that is a very clear way to make your correction. I know exactly what's going on there. So very good example of what to do. Okay, so here's an example from a big boat series, race deck finish. Notice that there are multiple pages and they are numbered the pages for me. This is really helpful when I'm going through the hard copies for scoring. And this is an example of handicap sailing where it's extremely important to write down the finish time of each boat to the second so that they are scored correctly. You don't need to write the hour on every boat, and if it's going to be a tight finish, you could even pre-fill the minute so that you only write down the seconds as they finish. Okay, so here we are going to do our demonstration. Give you a couple of seconds to grab your pen and paper, and let's give it a try.
The first finisher coming in for final race 5. It's the first or second race of the final day for yellow. Finish time is going to be 13:48. I'll call the seconds. Boat is 8431. Seconds. 8707. 579. 8228. 8434. Next to finish 5409. 8584. 8097. 8709. 8649. 8585. 1105. Five 5801, 5253. BCYC 7. Nine 344. Got a black kite to leeward. Might get these two boats here. 7866, 6627, 8543. Big group of boats coming in here. 7632, 1026, 6798, 6225, 7837, 3638, 9339, 8447, 8523. 6226.
Okay.
I got our first.
So you can check your answers here. Hopefully this gave you a taste of how fast-paced the job of a recorder is, how diligent and focused you must be. Give you a second to look at the correct order. Okay. So one last thing before we open up to questions. Remember, after every race, you should be sending pictures to the scorer in the race office. This is crucial to getting results posted in a timely manner. But in addition to sending text messages, make sure to bring the hard copy to the scorer at the end of the day. This is very useful for scoring inquiries. And that is it. I hope you enjoyed the presentation and learned something new. And I'm going to end this pre-recording and we can open the floor for questions in real time.